Well, good afternoon to everybody. It's quite late in the afternoon now. But just before I begin, Jack's having a well-earned drink. He's been my little helper out here. Just before I begin my video, I'd like to say thank you to Robin Boyd, Mary McHugh, Anthony Falsetta and Teresa Ruman. Thank you so much. Now, I'll just show you. These are my gloves, so you can see I've been working. But what I've done today, because I got some money gifts from some of you, which I thank you for very much, and I think I have sent responses, those who sent anything by PayPal, or what's the other one? I think it's just PayPal. But anyway, thank you very much. And I also got some money gifts from family and friends. So I decided to go off to my wonderful destination of Ardcarn Garden Centre and purchase some plants and another pot and something very, very special for the pond. So I'm going to show you what I've been up to. Just see the wee robin over there, look. He's pecking around because I've been working over there, so disturbing little grubs and insects, and so he's having a wee feast now. Okay, without further ado, I shall put down my gloves, but I'm going to bring my secateurs with me because I've got a little job to do just down at the pond. Right, so first of all, I'm filling up one of my big polystyrene fish boxes to sow some seeds because I want to have some cotton come again greens, or microgreens as they're so called now. But I just call them cotton come again. And I'm going to be sewing that box up and a bigger box maybe tomorrow. What am I going to sow? Anything green that will grow, that will give me a little microgreen crop. So, without further ado, here we go. So you can see I've been clearing lots more of the gravel, and I've got masses done. So, building on that, I thought, okay, some little areas need to be renewed, because this is what makes a beautiful woodland garden, where you're constantly transplanting, renewing, making room for other plants, looking at trees, how are things balanced. So, first of all, do you remember I planted this variegated holly in the old basket? Do you remember last spring? And I painted the basket with some wood preservative. Well, it's now run its course, and I'll show you. Some little bits of wool. Do you remember I lined the basket with raw wool? Okay. So I thought this variegated holly needs to be transplanted, so I indulged in another beautiful blue pot. And that should see the holly quite happily ensconced in there for a good 2 or 3 years. Then, do you remember I had the 2 tyres just there? Well, I thought, okay, time to move those tyres, because they weren't doing an awful lot in terms of what was in them, and it had become rather overgrown with mint. And then this Serbian spruce, which is a beautiful soft spruce, had gone and rooted a little bit into it. So I had to cut the roots out of it, but that won't do any harm because that spruce is now ready for replanting somewhere in the woodland garden. So I've got 2 tyres to move, I've got the basket to go on the compost heap, and I've got my Serbian spruce then to take out of there, clean off the roots and replant in the woodland garden. So I thought what I'd do to make a more permanent place is to bring some of the stones over from the gable garden, which I had left over, build a little stone planter, and I bought that beautiful mahonia, and I've also put some lovely ivy in there with it, some tete-a-tete miniature daffodils and some snowdrops. So there is a reason why I chose mahonia. Mahonia, of course, blooms, it flowers at this time of the year. So in terms of helping any bees that stagger out of hibernation, as some of them do, that's heavily scented, that's got nectar in it, and that's going to provide a little lifeline. So I've got mahonia planted in various parts of the garden, as you know. Okay, it's just beginning to drizzle a little bit, so we'll just move reasonably quickly down to the pond. There's a tractor next door moving silage bales, and you can see it's quite grey because of course it's starting to rain. So I've got a few more stones left here for this little edging, which I'll be carrying on with in due course. You know me, I multitask. I have half a dozen little jobs going, and that way then I don't get too bored. I thought as well when it was raining earlier and I was stood here underneath this evergreen tree, I thought to myself, you know, this is a nice dry spot, so I may move the toadstool, the big mushroom, the big wooden one, under this tree. I think it would look good, and it would be sheltered a bit more from the elements. Now I'm sorry if there's any raindrops got on the screen, but this is real life. This isn't contrived. This isn't one of those multi-shot, multi-edited videos. But then those of you who have subscribed to Bealtaine Cottage know that I just do one long shoot. Now, the ground feels very wet and very soaked, but in actual fact it hasn't been raining that much. And there are, I don't know if you've seen those little insects there. You know, I'm going to attempt just to clean this screen. I'll just take the hem of my skirt and have a go here. Is that any better? Well, it'll do. But there hasn't been too much rain. I think, now, see, I haven't even been looking at the news very much, but I think I heard somewhere there was a storm coming in tomorrow. Anyway, whatever. So look at what I got from my pond. A dragon! Jack, come up here. Come on, you rascal. He thinks he's gone off for another dander. How many walks does a boy need, eh? So, I've just brought my secateurs down, you see, to snip that little price tag off the dragon. I just fell in love with, well, I'd fallen in love with it a long time ago, but I just step into the water. I've got my wellies on, look, you can see. So, okay, I'm going to be just, I think I'll put this camera down just for a moment. I'll put it down on top of that toad there. Okay. Snip. Now, look at that. There we go. Just pull my welly out. Okay. So, there we go. My granddaughter is absolutely crazy about dragons. And I'd seen this dragon, you know, and I remember from my childhood a lovely song, Puff the Magic Dragon. I don't know if any of you remember that. Puff the Magic Dragon. You'll probably find a link to it somewhere on YouTube. But I thought, he would just look so gorgeous in the shallows of the pond. And that's what I paid for it there. It was €75. So that's sort of a midwinter present to myself. But also, I mean, everything that I buy for the woodland garden, for the pond, for around the cottage, it's all part of Bealtaine Cottage and the enchantment of it. And because I stay away from the media and I don't have television and so on and so forth, my life is quite enchanted because that's the zone that I stay in. So the child in me bought that today. It's a little robin down. Now I also planted another little it's me robins. Wherever I dig or uncover earth, you know, the robins come. And so I also got another little Scots pine planted. So again, I may keep this one a wee bit trimmed so it grows up till about 6 or 8 feet and then canopy it, you know. And there you go. Another little bird feeder there. I'm very happy with the engineering work that I carried out on the pond, and that's really given it a completely new lease of life. Now I was also digging up little bits of plants, you know, dividing perennials, and I put some sedums in over there. Can you see the little cluster of sedums? So I'm forever spreading plants. So, there's my neighbour next door and his tractor moving the silage bales. Let me just get a handle of this. So I still have to get into the pond, of course, and clear the pond weed. But that doesn't seem like such a burdensome job anymore, you know? I'm quite entranced by the pond, you know, and I think planting more around it as well, because I put 3 birch trees in. You can't see them at the moment. I'll point them out to you in the spring. Now, talking of spring, I was walking back up here with Jack, and what do I see but little tips of daffodils. Now you can see them more here. This is a little bit more sheltered. Can you see just around the base of the trees? Let me just see, I haven't got my glasses on. Trust me to come out without my glasses. I know I should wear them around my neck, but there you go, I just don't. But anyway, so the daffodils are just beginning to peep up. Now I was saying this to my grandson last night when I was giving him a lift to work, and he said, oh, isn't that early? I said, no, it's not early for the daffodils. They normally come up here in the west of Ireland and the southwest of England, which is the same climate, and the west of Scotland. Around about January, they start to peep up, but it does actually take them a good 7 or 8 weeks to get from this point to just beginning to flower, because they don't normally flower then till March. End of February, beginning of March. And someone commented on Facebook this morning, they said, what climate zone are you in there? I think that was the question. And it's a question I'm often asked. And the climate zone, of course, is if you think about the UK, generally, and the climate it has, and the gardens of the UK, and then you take it back 4 weeks. So it's 4 weeks ahead of most of the UK. So the west of Ireland, the west of Scotland, and the southwest of England has this beautiful Celtic climate, which historically has always been so. And it's very mild. Can get snow. Rarely anything too extreme. It doesn't have extremes of temperature. Can get a fair bit of rain. Rarely hard rain. Usually just soft rain, mizzle, drizzle. And sometimes a good old downpour. In terms of climate change, which is happening everywhere, the extremes that the west of Ireland would be more along the lines of flooding. So we'd get some flooding. Now I think the last flooding was, let me think. Was it 2008? I'd have to look back on my videos and the Bealtaine Cottage blog. That's bealtainecottage.com. That would be on there. Still quite bright. You can see the smoke coming out of the chimney up there. I have the stove lit in the sitting room. I haven't bothered with the stove in the kitchen because I had a shower this morning and it's only really to heat up the water at this point because it is quite mild. I mean, it's not cold. I have a jumper on, you can see here, but it's just a light jumper over a dress. So, go around this way. Got 2 bottles of water there because I collect the water from the well. I don't have to buy spring water. That's the well down at Cottage, which is just beautiful water. Absolutely gorgeous. I still have those 2 pots to deal with over there. So that'll go on my list for tomorrow's work. And I still have some trees to plant. So I've got a fair bit to do tomorrow now. I've got to tidy up these things here. But I think you'll agree, it's looking rather lush. Meaning quite lovely. I'm pleased with that. Brings a bit more colour and a bit more form and a bit more interest. So from myself and Jack, blessings to you all. And I am very mindful of what's happening in Australia. I'm very mindful. So Australia is very much in my prayers at the moment. So I'm going to go and make a cup of tea now. Well, I think a pot of tea. I think a pot. Oh, one last thing to show you actually here. Someone said to me on a comment, oh, I just banished the comment and banished them because I thought this is ridiculous. I'm not putting up with nonsense. But someone said, you know, how cruel I was to even bonsai trees, you know, to cut them and, you know, the cruelty involved and all the rest of it. But this is a little one. This is what I've been trying to explain to people. This is a little one that I pulled up from the forest where it was growing between rocks and had already begun to bonsai itself, you see, because this would normally just grow in one straight piece. This is a little Sitka spruce, but because of damage within the wild, it's become in itself a little bonsai. This is how trees survive, because if they're surrounded by huge trees, they're not going to survive and grow big. So they keep themselves small. So bonsai wasn't invented by people. Bonsai is a part of nature itself. Blessings to you all.